Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the homeless issue here in Santa Clarita and the City Council and City of Santa Clarita's approach. I think by some of the information that was presented, it would seem that that we just started looking at this homeless problem. The City Council and the city has been dealing with the homeless problem for over a decade, well over a decade. The City Council has spent a great deal of time and resources trying to address this issue. This certainly is not an easy issue to resolve. I think someone mentioned the City of Los Angeles. You can only go to the City of Los Angeles and see how out of control that situation has gotten, and it's not gotten better. So I think the city has taken a very proactive approach, a very sympathetic approach, but a multi-pronged approach to trying to deal with a very complicated issue. The City Council created an ad hoc committee about a year and a half ago. That committee has had several meetings. During those meetings, they have brought all of the stakeholders from the Santa Clarita Valley and beyond that deal with homeless services, and I believe Councilmember Smythe and Mayor Pro Tem McLean both serve on that committee, and you remember there were probably in excess of 30 or 40 different people in that meeting that represent the multitude of agencies and organizations that on a daily basis deal with the homeless population, that provide services and support to the homeless population. This is not a City of Santa Clarita only government issue. This is an issue that must be solved by the community, including all the nonprofit partners, and that is what's happening. There are literally hundreds of people every single day providing resources to this population, and the city is just one of them. Another meeting that the ad hoc committee held was with LA Family Housing. So the council members were exploring the different opportunities and options that exist for transitional housing as well as permanent affordable housing. The ad hoc committee also reviewed and made a recommendation to the council as a whole, who approved it. The planning grant that we received from Los Angeles County, which brought in a consultant that specializes in homeless services, who has met with and collaborated with all of the people and stakeholders and has presented a draft plan that will come to the City Council for their review and will be provided for the public's review. Over the years, the City Council has dealt with the affordable housing issue. There's been several senior affordable housing projects that have come through the City Council that the City Council has not only approved but also has supported and subsidized in some form or fashion. The City Council approved its first family affordable housing project a few years ago, and I believe the contribution on behalf of the city, including land, was somewhere between in the neighborhood of $3 to $4 million to make that project happen, and that is now a thriving environment here that we have, I believe, 30 or so families that are living in those affordable units. Again, in terms of the homeless shelter, we've been dealing with the homeless shelter for well over a decade. We have made tremendous progress working with Bridge to Home, who provides the services through that shelter. The City Council ultimately provided the land that they're sitting on, which was city-owned property, and then went up above and beyond that and purchased an adjacent parcel next to that to create a broader, larger piece of land that could accommodate a full-time, larger capital project that will serve the homeless for years to come. We're very happy to say that Bridge to Home was successful through Measure H in getting about a $640,000 grant that will go toward the capital project of that. They were also successful in getting about $400,000 in additional operating funds through Measure H. And so that has been, the combination of the city coming together, working with Bridge to Home, giving them over $1 million worth of property to provide the future shelter, the political support to site it there and make it happen and support Bridge to Home in getting that done, and the funding to make it happen. Again, there are several nonprofits that we work with on a daily basis. You have College of the Canyons, you have the school districts, you have Family Promise, you have Bridge to Home, you have a multitude of churches and coalitions that come together on a daily basis, and of course we work with the County of Los Angeles to make sure that we're accessing those services which they are responsible providing. And so I think that gives kind of an overview of what we're doing. In terms of this ordinance is one piece of the strategy that we deal with as we try to manage the public right-of-ways and so forth. And I will state that what the ordinance does is simply extends regulations and restrictions that currently exist in parks and open spaces to other public properties. So it's not a wholesale, this is a whole new idea. This is something that we've had in place for several years, that we're simply extending those same regulations to other public properties so that we can manage the health and safety of those environments and provide an incentive and encouragement for the homeless population to seek the services that are available to them here in the city of Santa Clarita. And that concludes my comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions.